The 89th edition of the Roy's Boys podcast starts right now.
It's not about you. It's about that name on the front of your jersey.
And ready on his second attempt. That one is no good. They battle for it. Loose ball. Recovered Marvin. He scores. Pushes into Hubert Davis. 8 seconds. Davis trying to get free. Over to Fox. Fox, baseline. Up for the shot. Good. Off the glass. Oklahoma calls timeout. But the game is over. The game is over. Carolina has upset number 1 Oklahoma.
With 20 seconds left to play. Goes back to Michael Jordan. Jumper from out on the left. Good. 63-62. 13, 12, 11. Georgetown with one timeout. Fred Brown looking. Oh, way to Worthy. Worthy 5. The Tar Heels are going to win the national championship.
Rebounded by Weber. Michigan out of timeout. Weber front court. Carolina with foul. He takes the timeout. They're out of timeout. Technical foul. Technical foul. Brown gets it into Williams. Here comes Williams front court. Williams on the drive. Gets it back out the head. Long outside shot. Short rebounded. It's over. Carolina has won the national championship. How about them Tar Heels? They are the national champions.
That's it! Make room for 2017. The Tar Heels are the national daggum champions.
That's what it's all about right there. That's on the floor. That's on your shirt. That's in your heart. That's why we're all here.
This is the Roy's Boys podcast with your host, Joshua Marlowe.
Hey everybody, and welcome you into another edition of the Roy's Boys podcast. We are powered by Carolina Electrical Services. Josh and Anthony, we're here as we always are, and we have to recap a third straight loss as Carolina fell at home in Carmichael Arena yesterday afternoon to Wofford, 68-64. Second time in 3 years Wofford has come to Chapel Hill and beat Carolina. Got to remember, there's a school about an hour and a half or 2 hours away in Clemson that's never won in Chapel Hill. Wofford's done it now twice in 3 years. And this one, like the first time, was unexpected. So was the absence of Cole Anthony and Leaky Black, which we found out about an hour and a half or so before tip-off. And you could clearly tell Carolina missed both of those players Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, I don't even know how to describe the amount of shock when everybody just kind of found out at the same time that those guys weren't going to play. We said this early in the year, pretty much after the Notre Dame game. I think we went out on the limb and said that if Cole Anthony misses any time, this team is in trouble. I think by about the third or fourth game of the year, we said if Cole Anthony can't play, this team may not win a single game. And yeah, that's pretty much the case at this point. It does not look good on his front. Pretty much what most people are thinking is that he will shut it down to focus on going to the NBA. That's what most of the people around the situation that I've seen on Twitter have been saying. It's basically just knee swelling, and we've seen how that's gone with a couple of prior Tar Heels, especially the most recent guy in Sterling Manley, who just had to go out and get more surgery done on his knee. So, yeah, it's not looking good. And you talked about that Wofford team coming in 2 years ago and beating the Tar Heels in the Smith Center, much better team. This is inexcusable. This is a loss to a team that, frankly, is just not good. And they found a way to beat the Tar Heels because the Tar Heels are not really that good at this point. So, it's not looking very promising right now for this 2019-20 team that we came into, the offseason, once we got all of our guys in that class of 2019, thinking could possibly make a significant run in the tournament.
Yeah, the thing about when we lost to Wofford at home a few years ago, that team had Joel Berry, Theo Pinson, you had Luke May, Kenny Williams, Cam Johnson. So you felt like, okay, maybe this is the thing that wakes up that team. Mm-hmm. And that Carolina team went on to finish top 3 in the ACC, and it flamed out in the second round of the tournament. Carolina doesn't have that luxury this year. You're extremely inexperienced to begin with.
Right.
Even if you had Cole Anthony and Leaky Black on the floor. You're beat up as much as you've ever been beaten up under Roy Williams with the amount of injuries that you faced to begin the year and now during the year. And it didn't bode well when you got the news. I still didn't get the sense that Carolina would be in danger to lose the game because it's Carolina and you're Wofford and you're playing in Carmichael Auditorium. Those factors right there alone a lot of times intimidate an opponent and you win. The thing about college basketball this year is you've seen Evansville going to Kentucky and win. You've seen Stephen F. Austin going to Cameron Indoor and win. And now, so all these teams, you've seen Elon and Gardner-Webb come into the Smith Center and play with a lot of confidence. It's so wide open, as much as it's ever been, that even these smaller teams feel that they got a chance. And Carolina, when they're not at full strength, they're just not good enough to not play well and still win, even no matter the opponent. And that's just facts. This is not a good basketball team. And I don't want to be the guy that overreacts, but it's factual.
It's not an overreaction at this point. This team is not where they need to be at this point of the season with the guys that they have in place. The other thing, when you're comparing a lot of those other wins from earlier in the year, Stephen F. Austin, Evansville, but, I mean, when you look at this, doesn't this feel kind of different, and especially from 3 years ago, because 2 years ago. 2 years ago, Wofford, when they came into the Smith Center, they won because they played really well. Last night, they won because Carolina didn't play well at all. They did not play well as a team either. They still only shot 38% from the field. Wofford did not dominate on the glass or anything like that. Carolina had a plus 17 advantage on the glass, and they still won. That's my biggest issue, is this is not an upset that is happening because the team on the other side played so good that they beat you. No, this is you played so bad that a team that is a mid-major still found a way to beat you because you played that bad.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. I mean, Carolina, 37% from the field. They were 32% from three. That's right in line with their averages all year long.
Hell, 32% from three, that's an improvement over the last few games.
We've played 10 games. You've yet to score 80 points. And you've yet to shoot 50% from the field in a game this season.
Not even coming close at this point. And let's be real honest.
And that's the most frustrating thing, because if there's one thing that you can hang your hat on Carolina basketball under Roy Williams, is they're going to score and they're going to shoot a very high percentage from the field. And this team, it don't matter if it's three-pointers or even if it's layups. Roy Williams said in the postgame, we had 5 shots at the rim. We're just not tough enough to convert.
Yeah.
And I think, and I tweeted this during the game, and I'm going to reemphasize it here. This team lacks toughness. I thought after the Battle for Atlantis, this team had toughness because the way they played in that Oregon game. I don't know where that team is or how that team even beat Oregon, because this team isn't tough. They're not tough enough to make the plays that you got to make at certain situations to win ball games. And that's the most frustrating thing. You let a team like Wofford come into your secondary building, was supposed to be really a reunion of sorts for Carolina basketball, celebrate the history of the success that you enjoyed in Carmichael, and you let this team take the fight to you, and you didn't have a response until the game was until it was too late. Because you're not, even though you're not even good enough to come back from 11 or 13 down. You're not.
Not even against a mid-major. That's kind of the point you're at right now.
And I think that's the thing that we're all frustrated with, is that we didn't expect this. We expected this team to lose some games in the non-conference season. We expected this team to struggle. I don't think we expected the struggles to be to this magnitude. And the problem is that there doesn't appear to be an answer anytime soon.
Oh, no. I mean, plain and simple, I've said it the last 3 or 4 podcasts, and it's still the same case here. This team can't shoot, and that's not going to get fixed. It's not a confidence issue. It's just that these guys flat out cannot make shots, and it's not going to change. At the rim, got to be stronger. And look, you've got to go through your inside guys. You have no choice but to trust them. They're your most talented offensive weapons right now, are both Armando Bacot and Garrison Brooks. And look, that's not all that encouraging. It probably shouldn't be. But at this point, that's kind of what you're stuck with, because let's be real honest, nobody on the perimeter is going to be getting anything done for you right now. It's just not happening. And unless that guy just all of a sudden emerges out of nowhere and catches fire, it ain't coming anytime soon. So if you want to win and get to the tournament, which who would have thought we would be saying that sitting here 10 games into the year in the middle of December? You are going to have to work through your big men. And, I mean, they tried to do it a little bit yesterday. Armando Bacot, worst game I think I've seen from him of his entire career. 2 of 14 shooting from the field. That is pathetic. I mean, it's got to be better, especially in a game where with Cole Anthony out of the lineup, he had to have known, I have to step my game up. Garrison Brooks did. 8 of 10 from the field, 17 points, 10 rebounds. 12 rebounds. I'm looking at the defensive rebound numbers. But Armando Bacot did not. And that is the only way that the Tar Heels are going to win games right now, because there is just not enough consistent mid-range and three-point shooting that is going to help you win games. It's just not there, and it's not going to be there for the rest of the season unless something changes very quickly.
Yeah, the thing about Garrison is, look, this guy, from the time we got him as a freshman, his offensive game has grown probably more than we could even expected it to. Because as a freshman, you wouldn't see him even take a 12 to 15-foot jump shot. Now, I'm comfortable with him taking that shot.
He's probably the best mid-range shooter on this damn team, if we're being honest.
The problem is that as much as he's grown on the offensive end, he's still not dominant enough to carry the load inside scoring no matter mid-major or in the ACC. And so I'm with you. Bacot's struggles caught me by surprise, because it wasn't that it was the size of Wofford that bothered him, because he was bigger than any guy on the floor that Wofford had at most times. It was just his lack of finishing at the rim, and like I said earlier, the lack of toughness it takes to make those kind of plays in the painted area, no matter if he's getting fouled. And look, Wofford got away with some fouls, sure. That's basketball. You've got to play through it, and yesterday he just wasn't able to do that. Touch on how the point guard situation looked in the absence of Cole Anthony. I thought KJ Smith did about as much as you could expect him to do. I don't want you taking 5 3-pointers, but I felt that the offense flowed a little bit better. The ball moved a little bit better. He defended his guy a little bit better, but it's clearly a drop-off from Cole Anthony. When you saw a lot of Jeremiah Francis and Anthony Harris. The fact that Jeremiah Francis is on the floor is just a win in itself. This guy hasn't played competitive basketball in over 2 years, and now he's thrust in a situation where not only does he need to play, we're asking him to produce. And that's kind of not fair to him, but look, we're not going to sit here and make excuses. No one's going to make excuses for him. He's going to have to start giving this team something. Anthony Harris, I think you saw why when he committed, we were excited. This guy was committed to Virginia Tech, and if you remember under Buzz Williams, Virginia Tech had extended good guard play. Mm-hmm. And he showed the ability to get to the rim. He has the ability to shoot, just didn't finish. But you saw something that you took away, and it's like, okay, it's a
There's
positive.
At least some promise with those guys. I mean, because everywhere else with the grad transfers, it's still not really a whole lot. I mean, I thought Keeling played better, still not great. Justin Pierce, just an awful game. Oh man, I mean, couldn't even hit the rim on a free throw. Not exactly what we're looking for from a guy that we expected to come in and produce big time numbers. Christian Keeling, like you said, scored 16,000 points in his first 4 years at Charleston Southern, or 3 years on the court at Charleston Southern, one of the two. And, we just haven't seen that from them. And, that's one of the things. People are asking them to step up. I don't know at this point if either one of them is going to be able to step up. But you're right. There's some stuff that you can take away that was positive. Most of it comes from that point guard position. I mean, you talked about KJ Smith, 7 points. Granted, just 2 of 7 shooting from the field, but I mean, we should know that's not really his. That shouldn't be what he should be doing out there. Took care of the basketball, only 2 turnovers, not that bad. We probably expected a lot more. When we first got the news, we thought, okay, he's got to play a full game. This could be a little rough. And then Anthony Harris and Jeremiah Francis, like you mentioned, just their second game back from injuries. Both guys, second game back from injuries. And, you saw a good amount of upside from Harris. I like, what he can bring to the table a little bit. 1 of 4 from the field wasn't great. You're right. Just has to be a little bit stronger when he finishes at the basket. And Jeremiah Francis, yeah, I mean, you're right. For him to even be out there is very encouraging. And this was a guy that I think a lot of people forget. He was a highly rated recruit before he got injured. So this isn't a guy that is just one of those placeholders behind, some of our point guards, a guy that is going to